Unlike some of your previous speakers who've talked about some specific things that they've done, I'm going to tell you a little bit about who Kip Ward is and, as was pointed out, why he's still here. Because quite candidly, sometimes I think, well, why am I here? Hopefully, through a few minutes, I can give you some perspectives that have guided me over this almost 4 decades, having attained the rank of a 4-star general and maybe about 4 points in all that could be used as you continue to do the things that you do in such a very, very fine way. I am Kip Ward, as was pointed out, and I am a soldier. Now, I've not always been a soldier, and that journey started years ago. And those years there in Baltimore, Maryland, when I was growing up as a youngster, I had an opportunity to watch someone who was very influential to me, and that was my dad. My dad was a World War II combat engineer, enlisted soldier, drafted, spent 2.5 years in the Philippines building PSP runways. For those of you who don't know, these are runways that are corrugated steel, and you just put them down and then you start landing on them. And it was his service that gave me my first glimpse. Well, yeah, there is such a thing as the Army. Now, he was a draftee, as I said. He got out of the Army at the end of the war, and he and my mom found each other, and voila. But that is only the beginning of it, because truly it was after that that lend itself to me being who I am in ways that I still reflect on today as having been so instrumental. Now, I talked about 4 things. Those 4 things that I'm going to talk to you about are, the preparation. Because as Yogi Berra says, you can't predict the future. So the question is, how are you always prepared for it? The preparation. The situation. What situation do you find yourselves in? The constants. What things are always there that are important regardless of the situation? And then finally, I'll finish up and talk a bit about the footprints. And I think that's where all of us can also reflect on what this is all about. As was pointed out, in 1971, and a bunch of you here didn't even know about the future in 1971. You weren't even close to being around. In 1971, if someone had told Kip Ward that in 2010 you'd still be serving in the military, I'd have looked at them like they were crazy. They had horns growing out of their heads. Are you out of your mind? But here I am, still wearing the cloth of our nation and wearing it very, very proudly. It was a combination of some things that have occurred to me over that period of time that causes me to talk about this business of being prepared. As was mentioned very briefly, you just never know what the next day will hold. You can have plans, but what do you do today to cause whatever that tomorrow might be afford you the most advantage in being successful? And that's about taking advantage of where you are and what you do, and those things that are presented to you in ways that you may not envision, but if you're paying attention, you take advantage of. So this business of being prepared. And how do you prepare yourself? What is it that you do to be prepared? First thing, you listen. You listen. You watch. You pay attention to what's going on around you. Now, I watched my dad as a youngster be in a situation. He was a builder. He was a carpenter. He was a plumber. He was an electrician. How did he do all that stuff? I just watch him watch others, talking, listening to others, and by so doing, learning. This thing called, how do you see the situation from the perspective of others? That's how you are prepared. How are you listening to what others have to say? I'm a soldier. But I use a term that everyone understands. If you've ever read Beetle Bailey, everyone knows what a foxhole is. So you know what a foxhole is. And as Beetle Bailey says, you always want to work to improve your foxhole. And so this foxhole that we are in, and it doesn't matter what position you hold, what job you have, where you are, Where we are is the foxhole that we occupy. And so this business about listening and learning, if you take this foxhole, you get out of it, and you go down, you turn around, you look back at it. Now, how does it look now? Well, probably a bit different than the way it looked from your position as you were physically occupying it. So the point is, when you're in your foxhole, get out of it. Go down range, turn around, look back at it from a different perspective, and you get a different point of view. Be willing to do that. Be willing to understand your position from someone else's perspective. You listen, you learn, you take advantage of what's offered, you are prepared. You are prepared. Your situation, what is it? You are in various positions, you are in various occupations, you have various roles from students to professionals. Your situation is your foxhole. And that's where you are. In my case, I'm a soldier. I wear the cloth of our nation. I wear it proudly. And I wear it with honor because of what it means for those of us who serve, who've taken that oath to protect and defend against all enemies, foreign and domestic. For Kip Ward, a noble calling. But as I said, if someone had said to me in 1971 when I left Morgan State University, Ward, in 2010, you're still going to be a soldier. Are you out of your mind? But here I am, and here I am very, very proudly. Each of us is in a situation, and it matters not what role we have, what job we have. Each of us is valuable. Each of us has merit, and each of us has great worth because we are a part of a team. And this business about team is what causes each of us to be better. You take those things that you do, and not that you do for self, but those things that you do for your teammate that will cause her or him to be better. And that's what it's about. Now, how do you, through your actions, through your activities, cause your teammate to be better? And when you do that in ways that you are satisfied with, the entire team is elevated. When everyone is doing that, the team succeeds. And when the team succeeds, the mission is accomplished, the work is done, and those objectives that you want to achieve have in fact been achieved. And it doesn't matter what kind of formation you're in, doesn't matter what cloth of the nation you wear, doesn't matter what profession you're in. It's just as true as to a sailor, an airman, a soldier, a Marine, a Coast Guardsman, our civilian teammates and friends, our contracting friends, our supporting families. When you do what you do in ways that will elevate your teammate, we all make a better difference in achieving the desired outcomes. What a fantastic situation to be a part of. But why am I still around? You beginning to get the picture? Some great teammates spanning 4 decades of service that every day something is happening that causes me to say, wow, what a great team to be on. Am I glad I am serving? You better believe I am. And why is that the case? It's because of you. It's because of those who you represent over almost 4 decades of service, who have done things to cause this soldier to be all that he can be. I kind of like that one too. And being all you can be comes because those who are around you have done all that they could do to help and elevate. Now, as was pointed out, I command USAFRICOM Command, one of our nation's 6 geographic commands, and pretty big part of the world that my area of activities encompass. Now, one of the things that I pay a lot of attention to is how we and what we do help our partners, help our partner nations do what they seek to do, and that is provide for their own security. Because in so doing, we benefit in America. Our citizens benefit, and importantly, the citizens of that great continent also benefit in their development, in their governance activities, through those things that we can do to enhance their capacity to provide for their security. Didn't say doing it for them, talked about being a partner. So this business of being a teammate extends individual to individual. It extends if we are in a formation, be it a squad, a platoon, a squadron, a ship. In our family circles, how good a teammate are you? In our businesses, how good of a teammate are you? So these are universal activities here that regardless of where we are, it matters. As a combatant commander, what about geographic commanders? I didn't just get here. A decade, 4 decades, I've been through a few jobs. And some would say, well, you can't hold a job, can you? I just keep changing and changing and changing. Having commanded formations at echelon from 2nd lieutenant to 4-star general. Now, I don't say that because it's a big deal. I say it because I've had some fantastic opportunities to serve with some fantastic folk. I recall one of my occasions as a lieutenant. And I've talked about this Foxhole, brand new lieutenant, Fort Bragg, North Carolina, jumping out of airplanes, going out into the North Carolina pines, and not from Baltimore, so going to the North Carolina pines from Baltimore, man, you talk about a culture shock. But I'm there in these North Carolina pines, and I'm in a foxhole with my platoon sergeant Gordy. Some folks you don't forget. And I'm in that foxhole, and we've been out in the field on a little exercise for about 2 weeks, and I get a call from the company commander, who was a captain, an Army captain, said, Lieutenant Ward, the field problem is over, time to go back to garrison. I take off my steel pot, put my rifle on the parapet of Foxhole, and that platoon sergeant said, hey, Lieutenant, what are you doing? Well, I don't know what I said. It was something similar to, well, I don't know, I'm chilling, platoon sergeant. But no. As long as we occupy this foxhole, we must always work to improve it. Because as Beetle Bailey says, this foxhole is here to protect us. And although that was the literal piece of it, from a symbolic lesson, I carried that one with me the rest of my career. You never stop working to improve your foxhole. And so that's been my mantra at echelon as I've gone through these formations. As a company commander in Korea, as a battalion commander in Alaska, as a brigade commander in Fort Drum, as a division commander in Hawaii. Gosh darn it, somebody had to go there, huh? Speaking of Hawaii, as a division commander, commanding the 25th Infantry Division, had the opportunity also to do various things as my second hat as U.S. Army Hawaii Commander. I'm talking about teammates now, going into one of my facilities, and don't know which one it may have been. You go in, and here comes the boss coming in. Sir, we'd like to show you X, Y, Z. Come see our comptroller. Sir, come see our facility manager. No. I want to see your custodian, buddy. I want to see your custodian. Because every time I come in here and I have to go use the facilities, it makes me happy. And why? The place is clean. It smells good. Now, who takes that for granted? You sure notice it when it's not that way. So when it is that way, you recognize that. And you recognize the teammate for doing it, because what that teammate has done has increased my attitude, my positive feeling, and I can be more productive because of what that teammate has done. And you don't take those things for granted. Every member of the team is important. And what each of the teammates will do adds to the mission accomplishment of the entire team. It matters not from the most senior to the most junior. And we all acknowledge recognize, and are thankful when teammates do what they do and causes us to be better at what we do. And that's what it's about. So Hawaii was that same way. As I served as the commander of the stabilization force in Bosnia and Herzegovina as a lieutenant general, the same way. As I served as the deputy commander of United States European Command as a 4-star, as the commander of the United States Africa Command as a 4-star, the same way. And so for Kip Ward, it's no different. What do I do that enables my teammate likewise to be better? That's what it's about. And so you say, well, gee, why do you still stay around? It's for those reasons. Because I've had some great teammates I've served with, and having commanded in multinational coalition joint formations, again, that privilege extends across services at echelon. Airmen, sailors, Marines, Coast Guardsmen, civilians, and as importantly, our families. Our families who, in spite of us, are there providing that support without which we couldn't be who we are. And again, what it's about, being all that you can be. I really like that. Huh? Being all you can be. But we don't get there by ourselves. A lot of teammates helping us out. Talked about footprints. Now, what about those footprints? What's a footprint? You're walking around, let some snow be on the ground, footprint. Walking through some sand, footprints. Mud, footprints. My wife and I are blessed to have 2 great children, son and a daughter. And when my 2 children went off to college, first time away from home, wow, what's this going to be like? You know, my son, who's the older, left off, and okay, then my daughter, who's 4 years younger, left off. Wow, mom and dad won't be around, and what will they do? You hope that you've done your best so that what they do will continue to make you proud. So how do you motivate them when you won't be there? Well, I use a little gimmick. And the gimmick was, now, we won't be there with you, but you'll be leaving some footprints. And will those footprints you'll leave be footprints that Mom or I would like to walk in, that you wouldn't mind us walking in? And so the same thing applies here. As you go through your various duties on the team that you serve, and you're doing what you do, what kind of footprints are you leaving? Are you leaving the type of footprint that you would say, someone who I love, I'd like them to also be able to walk in those footprints? Are you leaving footprints that would say, I'm pretty proud of those. They don't need to be washed away. And if that is kind of the overarching guidance that you apply and give to yourself, these specific things will work out. They will happen. They will happen. Having commanded thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, obviously you can't be with them all the time. You got to trust. You have to demonstrate respect. And that is the final point that I'd make. Those with whom you serve. What is this context? How you demonstrate trust, confidence in them in their service. And the performance will absolutely skyrocket off the charts each and every time. And what do you do to help set that tone, to create that environment in your organizations, in your unit formations, in your home, with your friends, with your teammates? And again, whatever foxhole you find yourself in, that's the case. How do you show your respect for your teammate? How do you create trust, confidence? Because when you have all that stuff working, wow, it's powerful. Again, almost 4 decades. Why is Kip Ward still here? Well, it's because of a lot of respect that I've been shown, hopefully some that I've given in return. A lot of teammates who, before thinking of themselves, said, we need to help this guy. And through that work, the organizations that I've been privileged to command have been successful. Nothing to do with Kip Ward, a whole lot to do with some great teammates that I've tried my best to always recognize, acknowledge, and be thankful for what they have done. Again, not for self, but for the team. Selfless service, that's what I'm talking about. What kind of footprints do you leave? That's what I'm talking about. Knowing your foxhole, not just from your eyes, but from the perspective of others. That's what I'm talking about. Listening and learning so that you do see it from other perspectives. So that when you make decisions, you have a better chance of that decision making a difference for those who matter. Be they partners that are nations, be they partners in your formation, be they partners in your home, be they partners in any business or endeavor that you may be engaged in. And then through that, achieving a level of success that exceeds all expectations, because at the core of all those activities, people. How you treated one another, and how through your actions you've left footprints that you would be very, very proud to have someone you love walk in, and as you walk down the street and you're looking back, you're saying to yourself, not bad. And only you judge that. No one else. That's you. It is an absolute thrill, privilege, pleasure to come to you, to talk to you about your footprints that you leave, and how those footprints that you leave, because of how you've laid them down, has caused this team to be what it is. And in so doing, enabled all of us to be all that we can be. Why do I serve? Why do I wear the cloth of our nation? And why have I done it for 4 decades? Have mercy. Because of you. Thanks a lot, and keep on doing what you do to cause your teammates to be all that they can be. Thanks very much.